Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki making an urgent appeal to President Obama at the White House this week. He is asking for more help fighting the growing influence of al-Qaeda in his country. Iraq currently seeing some of its worst violence since 2008, with more than 7,000 people killed by insurgents this year alone, threatening to wipe away all the hard work done by American troops just 2 years after the last of them left. Joining me now, retired Navy Captain Bob Wells, also a former national security advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney. Captain, good to see you. December 28, 2010, Nouri al-Maliki said American soldiers after 2011 are not welcome. Get out. And he claimed, though, he could handle the security situation. Now, all of a sudden, he's changing his tune. Gee, we need your help, United States. So what happened?
I think he miscalculated. I also think that the United States has looked at the departure from Iraq as a fundamental objective, and we have what we have right now. I think those points that Prime Minister Maliki brought up to President Obama this week in the Oval Office just yesterday are very well taken. And I think his sense of urgency should be something that should be listened to now.
Was it a mistake for President Obama to accede to the demand by al-Maliki to get American troops out, or should we have had some presence there? Status forces agreement should have been renegotiated. After all, a lot of American blood was spilled there.
I think it was a mistake. I think we should have gone the extra mile. We certainly had an opportunity to bring this status of forces agreement, SOFA, to closure with the government of Iraq. I think we needed to essentially close the deal, and I think Prime Minister Maliki needed to have a little bit more empathy with regard to the American position.
Yeah, look, we have a lot of leverage, and yet we didn't bring it to bear to force him to try to include the Sunnis and the Kurds into his government. He's Shiite. He's aligned himself with Iran. Is that also, in part, our fault?
I think looking at the political dynamics of Iraq, which is always complex, with the Kurds, with the Shiites, with the Sunnis in particular, recalling the legacy of Saddam Hussein, looking at the Sunni empowerment and really the fresh taste of freedom that the Shiites represented and felt in the person of President Maliki, certainly had its day in the sun. I think also, though, the United States could have been a little bit more insistent and persuasive, especially with the diplomatic team we had on the ground, to forge a better understanding with regard to the need for inclusion inside Iraq, inside Iraq's polity.
Let me switch to Pakistan. Huge news there. After years of trying to nail the head of the Pakistani Taliban, U.S. drone strikes took him out, killed him. And the Pakistanis, who had been trying to find him and kill him themselves, have the audacity to summon our ambassador for a dressing down. What do you make of that?
I think it's a part of their overall sovereignty campaign. It's also important to note this week that Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif met with the president, and that was his key point with regard to stopping the drone strikes. But we have to realize what the inabilities of Pakistan have been in the recent past to really manage what's going on in Waziristan and their federally tribal areas up there in the Fatah. They need to do a better job in trying to find where the Pakistan Taliban threats are to not only Pakistan but also to the stability inside Afghanistan. I think we could have done a better job, again, diplomatically, the United States, as well as with Pakistan, in making a better situation.
In the overall war against terror, which in many regions of the world seems to be escalating, not declining, has the Obama administration, the president himself, undertaken a dangerous legalistic approach?
I think he has. I think he needs to take a broader approach, looking at the real global war on terror. I think the Bush administration had it right. I think we need to reinforce the fundamental to the American people that there are quite a few places in the world that are still at war with us. And there's been destabilizing forces, the Arab Spring, the Shia revival, that have caused greater instabilities inside the greater Islamic world. And we need to be very much concerned with the global war on terrorism. I think we need to rethink our approach and really be more concerned about these particular legal processes that the Obama administration has undertaken.
It doesn't require us to go to war. Instead, it requires some experience and intelligence and wisdom, does it not?
That's correct. I think we need more smart power, and that means we need to have more of a focus on the Middle East, more of a focus on this particular region. Listen, I know the Obama administration talked about a rebalance to the Pacific region, and that was needed, but we cannot forget the Middle East.
Sure.
Our friends, our allies, our treaty commitments, in particular Saudi Arabia, the GCC countries, the Levant countries, right. Egypt, those are all particular interests that we need to continue to reach out to and actually double down on our effort.
Yeah. Especially since Al-Qaeda seems to be regaining its strength in northern Africa. Bob Wells, Captain Bob Wells, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much.
Good to see you. Thank you, Greg.
Greg, a controversial